Today's video is on creating a pattern card, and every pattern should have its associated paperwork or a pattern card that hangs with the pattern pieces. Not only is it good for the pattern maker, but also for pre-production and production people to know how many pieces are going to be in this pattern. So the first thing that you want to do is that you want to attach an image to your pattern, and then you want to clean up the pattern pieces, the labeling of it, and finally create the pattern card. So the first step again is to create the image. And this is an illustration of the design. So what we're going to do is go back to our class webpage, and you will find that under student resources, you'll find our famous croquis file. So just to kind of move on back just one step, you'll see a file called student resources, and in there you'll find croquis family. Okay, so I'm going to click on the croquis family and I get my average woman's croquis. And then I do need to save this, so I'm going to go ahead and save it to my pattern files. So essentially it's going to be sitting there with the pattern card and the actual pattern itself so that I just don't lose it. That's not a requirement, but that's just so that you know where it is. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to go into Illustrator. And I'm in Illustrator, and I'm going to create a new drawing. And the name of that drawing should be the name of the style. So this is going to be my name, and then pattern block 03. And if you, again you want a little note as to what that is, it is your skirt block. But again, should be the SKU number first. It should just be an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and your units should be inches. And go ahead and click on OK. Now we're going to place that croquis file. So I'm going to go find it, go find my croquis family, and go ahead and place it here and move it on to my sheet. Then, as you know, sometimes it's a little hard with Illustrator to draw on the same layer as the croquis. So I just recommend that you create a new layer. So if you go into layer and create a new layer, then you can lock the croquis layer and just be working on a separate layer. That way the whole croquis doesn't move around. And the next thing is to create a simple drawing. Now this drawing is just essentially a line drawing, but it does need to have the seams and things like zippers and if there is any visible stitching on the outside. So for your basic block, you don't have a zipper, you don't have any visible stitching on the outside, so it's a rather plain type of a drawing. So I'm going to use the pen tool. Make sure that your stroke is black, just as with your basics, and create your waistline, slightly curve your hip, and then I'm just going to create a straight seam going down. And then I can stop in the center here, and I can use my V to end that line. Go into my object, go to transform, reflect, and you can preview it to make sure that it's copying the right thing, and Illustrator likes to just copy the last segment that you did. So just click on the whole thing, transform, reflect, and click on copy. Okay, now I'm going to move it to the other side. And here's my basic drawing. If I want to kind of smooth out little bumps, I can use my smooth tool, and I can kind of, smooth out a little bump if I want to kind of smooth that out by kind of scribbling on it. And that sort of can smooth it out if I want to. Okay, so I have my basic drawing. Again, there shouldn't be a seam showing on the outside. Then I want to go ahead and save this just in case I need to modify this particular drawing. So again, it should be saved then as my SKU number, and if at the end you want a description, you can. And it should be saved in the same pattern file as with your file, so that if you have to modify it, then it's right there with your pattern and with your pattern card. So go ahead and save it. And then I want to have the croquis disappear and do a screenshot. So I'm going to do a little screenshot command. You can use the snipping tool if you have a PC, or the Shift Command 4 for a Mac. And your screenshots are saved to a default location. Mine happens to be saved to Dropbox. So now I have my drawing, and I'm going to go back into Tukatech, and I'm going to click on File and click on Attach Preview. So again, that was File, Attach Preview. And you see the preview is a default of the pattern pieces. And rather, I don't want to do that. I want to clear it. And I want to go find my screenshot that I just created here. So here's my screenshot. I'm going to go ahead and open it and click on OK. So now you don't think that anything happened, but it actually did attach a illustration to my drawing. So now I'm going to go ahead and clean up my pattern pieces before I create my pattern card. So I notice that I have a couple of points that are extra little points that I need to get rid of. So I'm going to click and get rid of those extra points. Then I also notice that I need to align some points. So I'm going to click on my side seam. I can actually zoom in so that you can see what I'm selecting. So I've selected the side seam, and you notice that it's a slight angle. I want that to be straight. Go to point, and then go to my align points. So I should align that actually with the hip. So you again pay attention to the clockwise direction that we have our first point and then our second point if you're thinking clockwise. So it wants to be aligned with the last point, and then it's a horizontal line. Then I want to just align my skirt. It kind of got off a little bit, and I want to do the same thing. So again, align points, and it should be with the first point this time, and it's a vertical line, so that straightens up my lines there. So now I have my points. Then I want to double check to make sure that everything is labeled correctly. The first thing that you want to check is global. So I want to go to global info. Global info should be the style name. Well, we've already practiced with some 1-inch grades and 2-inch grades. So I might want to call this with my name and then pattern block 03 because this is actually the third style that I've created for my block. And that's the one, again, that's fitting your dress form. So we want to correct the style name. Make sure that you click on apply. And it's to all pieces in the file. I'm going to go ahead and apply. And I want this to also be a two-way um, grain, and again click on apply, then go ahead and close. So all my pieces are the correct SKU number that you can see here. So they're pattern block 03, and then just to remind me that that's my skirt. Then what I want to do is to come back and come back out here. And I want to make sure that the piece is labeled correctly. So if I double click on the piece, I see that that's the back. My code is BK. It is just a pattern block is the description or the style description. It is self or muslin fabric. And you notice that quantity per bundle, 1. And I have a dashed line from my center front. So I'm going to open up that piece, and it is indeed just 1. So it would be 1 and a none, and then it's two-way. So it is actually okay, so I could actually just close it and then move on to my front. Again, double click on the piece, front, that's correct, FR is correct, same style name, self, that it has 1 again because it has the dashed line there, so it is just one piece, and two-way, so we can apply and close. Then I want to double check to make sure that I have seam allowances on my patterns. So if I have the little icon that has the sewing machine with the little eyeball, show hide seam, I'll see that I do not have seam allowances on here. So I need my seam allowances. And so I want to go to the seam. I want to click on any grade point, double click on it, and put in the 1/2 inch seam, which is standard for a woven fabric in industry. Go ahead and click on OK and do my second one and apply and OK. So I have seam allowances now. Finally, I just want to grade the final piece. So let's say I'm just going up to a size 10. So I'm going to go to grading, go to my sizes, and I'm going to designate the size 10 as my base. Even though I started with the 6 and I graded it up and down, I want to go to the 10. And I want to go ahead and click on close. So now 10 is showing, and I can make the 4, 6, and 8 not visible, and so it will only plot the 10 there. Finally, with the seam, I want to make sure that I switch all to the cut line. Now I'm almost ready to generate my pattern card. So I have my pattern pieces ready to go. They are open because that's the way the cutter will be cutting the pieces. And I want to go to report and then pattern card. So I'll click on pattern card. Notice that I have a style name. I have trim, outside work, and special instructions. Trim is something like a zipper. So if I wanted to add a 8-inch zipper to my pattern, I could put an 8-inch zipper. So this pattern block doesn't have a zipper, so I don't really have any trim. Outside work is referring to screen print or embroidery. I don't have that on this pattern block, so I leave it blank. Special instructions may be for you to fuse a piece or to simply restate to cut 1 if it's a piece that's cut 1. Again, not applicable here. Then click on Excel and go ahead and launch Excel. And then in my program here, I have to go find it, which is down here at the bottom. And there it is. And so I can click and move my little drawing down there so that I have my drawing. And I have my front and my back skirt pieces. So everything is correct. Now I do have some pieces in here that I'm not using yet. That's fine. We're going to be adding to this pattern block. And you notice here that trim, outside work, and special instructions right now are blank, as they should be for this particular pattern. The last thing is to make sure that it prints on one page. So double check, and when you go to your file and print, make sure that you have selected down here, instead of no scaling, fit all on one page. And so it fits everything again on the one page. So you would be fine for printing. And that's it with creating a pattern card.